And there's a live shot of those anti-Trump protests going on in London earlier this week. Then we talked about the U.S. Embassy there. Well, I'm saying they're happening now. Earlier this week, we talked about the U.S. Embassy. They're issuing a warning to Americans to lay low because those protests could get violent. They don't look too violent, although they do look rather packed, rather full. They seem to be somewhat peaceful. Before we went into break, saw the photo, the shot of the video of the Trump baby balloon, which was very underwhelming. I thought that thing was going to be like 90 feet tall.
Yeah, it was not. I thought it was going to be like a Macy's Day Parade kind of a balloon. It's more like a kite.
Like a birthday party balloon, yeah.
My daughter lives in London, and I have lots of friends there as well, and they point to the fact that, don't forget that they voted for Brexit. Don't forget that this is a small sampling of people. This is not the way people are in the countryside and a lot of other areas.
London is New York or San Francisco. It's not representative. Let's see what Clarence McKee has to talk about it and bring him on in. Our good friend, Newsmax contributor, Clarence McKee. He also held positions in both the Reagan administration and on the Reagan campaigns. Clarence, let's talk about, how are you, our friend?
Good. Busy morning, huh?
A little bit busy, Clarence, huh? We thought it'd be a slow Friday, go into the weekend relaxed.
Not so
much. Yes.
Not so much. All right, let's go to these protests first. So they're going to make a difference, and to Gina's point, these protests are London, far leftists, like in New York, or San Francisco, and L.A., right? This isn't representative of how most people in the UK think about Donald Trump.
I totally agree with that. It's like New York, San Francisco. The people of England like the president. No matter what the press did yesterday, trying to throw Brexit, supporting her in the EU. So he's doing a good job. You can't go, but the press seems to be the same pretty much all over the world. But don't look at those big Macy's Day Parade balloons. The mayor of London is an egotistical left-winger himself. So president did very well by not even getting involved in that.
All right,
and he's going to do well in Russia too. He'll come out of Putin's meetings doing very well. The media will say he did a bad job, and even Ron Rosenstein will not have an impact on it.
Okay, well, you brought up the point that we wanted to make with you next, or to go to rather. Rosenstein's press conference, do you find the timing suspect, as most of us seem to, who are looking at this maybe a little skeptically, but also do you think that anything he said makes any sort of substantive difference in what has been this ongoing, many call it, witch hunt?
Listen, I'll only listen to a press conference by Rosenstein when he's coming up with an indictment of Comey, Strzok, Lisa Page, and McCabe. I put him in the category with those Democrats yesterday in Congress. He, to me, is one of them. He's not. He's really the deep state. He's being an obstructionist, and it's just very, very bad and disingenuous. I don't know where the Attorney General is, but Rosenstein was just not good. The timing was off. The same minute, same hour. It was horrible.
You mean that the president was meeting with the Queen, and Rosenstein knew that would be on global television, right?
That's right. And you take a look at yesterday, and I wrote an article in Newsmax. You can look at it, May 17th. And the title of the article was, if the Democrats win, justice will lose. What I meant was what you saw yesterday by the Democrats in the House of Representatives on those two committees. Obstruction, delay, deny, impolite, calling Strzok, who's a real, as Giuliani said, he's a real renegade.
Yeah.
Calling him a hero, giving him hugs and kisses.
They applauded him, Clarence. They applauded him. Yeah.
Totally disgraceful.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the public is watching that. Can you imagine what would happen if Nadler was chairman and Cummings were chairman of their respective committees? It would be a disgrace. So I hope the American people saw that. It was a big charade yesterday. And I wish Mr. Goodluck could get control of his committee, too. But otherwise, I thought that Strzok did a lousy job, arrogant, pontificating. Can you imagine what would have happened if somebody had walked into a Walmart and said, "Oh my God, it smells like Obama in here"?
Yep.
Do you think the Democrats would be so happy? They're a joke.
Great point.
They didn't mind, and they didn't mind the word hillbillies or the word smelly, because that's what they and Hillary think of the average voter anyway. It's a shame.
Clarence, we're running out of time, but real quickly, we can be critical of Peter Strzok all we want. We can be critical of Rosenstein having this press conference, but the bottom line is what happens. Is Rosenstein going to continue to keep his job? Is Peter Strzok going to continue to work for the FBI and collect a paycheck?
First of all, I thought Gormer was right on the ball talking about his affair. Listen, if one of the models of the FBI is fidelity, how can you have a security clearance, right, and be carrying on an affair? He shouldn't have his job. He should be out of there.
Clarence McKee, as always, pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Clarence.
My pleasure, folks.
Good to
have a
see
good
you.
weekend.
And as
We tend to be of like mind, me and my friend Clarence.
but you disagree with what
You didn't like Gomer's testimony.
For me, I thought that the left looked so hysterical and so radical, Miranda, that I just hated for the Republicans to come back with any sort of high-pitched accusations that seemed aggressive. It seemed to me like they were hanging themselves in that
cheated
event.
on his wife.
I understand, and I understand the point. I think if he'd made it a little less breathily, then I think it would have been more effective.
Do you think it was more his delivery than the content?
More his delivery than the content.
Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Yeah, let us know.
Give us a call. 1-877-NEWSMAX is the number to call if you'd like to.
And I love Louis.
Conversation.
By the way, I got to throw that in there.
We'll be right back.